Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Now, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar calls on Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing ahead of Foreign Ministers' meet of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, apprises him of the recent development of bilateral ties. India strongly condemns attacks on Rath Yatra procession in Toronto, calling the act despicable against spirit of festivity, urges Canadian authorities to take action against those responsible. U.S. President Donald Trump tells Russia to end Ukraine conflict within 50 days or face massive new economic sanctions as he lays out plans for new infusions of weaponry for Kyiv via NATO. Iran says there will be no new nuclear talks with the United States if it insists Tehran to abandon uranium enrichment activities. First Indian astronaut to visit International Space Station, Shubhanshu Shukla, and 3 astronauts on their way to Earth splashed down near California at around 3 p.m. IST. And on to the details now. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Tuesday morning. The meeting was held in Beijing as part of SCO FM's call on Dr. Jaishankar, in social media post, stated that he conveyed the greetings of President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the Chinese president. He also apprised President Xi of the recent developments of the bilateral ties between the two neighboring nations. India's External Affairs Minister will attend the meeting of the foreign ministers of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in China's Tianjin. During the meeting, the leaders will exchange views on SCO cooperation in various international and regional issues. And in a significant diplomatic development, India and China held high-level talks on the sidelines of SCO foreign ministers' meeting, signaling renewed efforts to stabilize ties, including de-escalation. Both sides noted that stable and constructive ties between India and China will not only benefit them, but would benefit the world as well. Both nations now look ahead to further meetings under the SCO umbrella with cautious optimism and a clear message: dialogue remains the way forward.
The sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO Foreign Ministers meeting, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi, a meeting seen as a positive signal in the evolving ties between the two Asian giant economies. Marking his first visit to China since the strained bilateral ties following the 2020 LAC standoff, Minister Jaishankar emphasized the need for a far-seeing approach, citing gradual progress in border stability. Jaishankar stressed that India and China should now look at de-escalation of the situation along the LAC after making good progress in normalizing bilateral ties in the past 9 months.
We have made good progress in the past 9 months for the normalization of our bilateral relations. It is the result of the resolution of friction along the border and our ability to maintain peace and tranquility there. This is the fundamental basis of our mutual strategic trust and for smooth development of bilateral relations. It is now incumbent on us to address other aspects related to the border, including de-escalation.
India's External Affairs Minister will take part in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO Council of Foreign Ministers meeting in Tianjin on Tuesday. The primary mandate of the summit remains to combat terrorism, separatism, and extremism. Earlier, Jaishankar held delegation-level discussions with Chinese Vice President Han Cheng. The Indian minister asserted that bilateral relationship between India and China has been steadily improving since the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping in Kazan last October.
As neighboring nations and major economies in the world today, There are various facets and dimensions of our ties. Measures towards normalizing our people-to-people exchanges can certainly foster mutually beneficial cooperation. It is also essential in this context that restrictive trade measures and roadblocks are avoided. I hope to discuss these issues with you in further detail.
Jaishankar's visit follows visits by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, who travelled to China in June for the SCO meetings. Last month, on the sidelines of the SCO Defence Ministers meeting in China's Qingdao, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh stressed that India seeks a permanent solution to its long-standing border dispute with China. Singh made the comments during a meeting with his Chinese counterpart Dong Jun as the ministers held in-depth talks on the need to maintain peace along the India-China frontier. In the last few months, India and China have initiated a number of measures to repair bilateral ties, from working out final details of direct passenger flights between Delhi and Beijing to resumption of Kailash Mansarovar Yatra after a gap of nearly 5 years. As ministers of Asia's two largest economies meet, peaceful, stable, and constructive ties between New Delhi and Beijing are seen as vital, not just for the region, but for global geopolitics as well. Tripti Tripaঠি's report for DD India.
And now let's show you India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Tuesday as part of the delegation of foreign ministers attending the meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Well, this is Jaishankar's first visit to China since the year 2019. Dr. Jaishankar conveyed warm greetings from President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the Chinese president during the meeting. Earlier, Dr. Jaishankar also met China's International Department of the CPC Central Committee Minister Liu Jianqiao in Beijing. Two leaders discussed the changing global order and the emergence of multipolarity. Dr. Jaishankar spoke about a constructive India-China relationship in that context. And moving on, after 18 days in space and nearly 7.6 million miles travelled, the AX-4 crew is heading home. India's pilot Shubhanshu Shukla, Commander Peggy Whitson and two mission specialists undocked on Monday at 16:45 IST. Their splashdown is expected off the California coast today around 15:01 IST. Well, the mission marks a historic milestone, especially for India, ushering in a new era in human spaceflight.
Reigniting national pride and marking a major step forward in India's human spaceflight journey, AX-4 mission pilot Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, along with 3 other astronauts, entered the Dragon Grace spacecraft on Monday, leaving behind the International Space Station to begin his journey back to Earth. The hatch of the Dragon Grace spacecraft, connecting it to the International Space Station, was closed at 2:37 p.m. IST on Monday. Undocking with the ISS was completed at 4:45 p.m. Indian Standard Time. In a social media post, India's Minister for Science and Technology and Space, Dr. Jitendra Singh, said the entire nation eagerly awaits Shukla's safe return. Shukla's family expressed immense pride and joy ahead of his return on the 15th of July. They are planning a grand welcome, reflecting the nation's pride in his historic achievement. The 18-day stay aboard the ISS marks a milestone in India's space exploration. As part of the Axiom Mission 4, or AX-4, Shukla became the first Indian in 41 years to reach the ISS. During the mission, he conducted over 60 experiments, including 7 led by ISRO, focusing on microgravity research, covering sustainable space agriculture, crop resilience, microbial adaptation, and muscle regeneration. The AX-4 mission, a collaboration between ISRO, NASA, Axiom Space and SpaceX, marked India's return to human spaceflight after more than 4 decades. Launched on the 25th of last month, the mission saw Indian Air Force pilot Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla make history. On Sunday, before undocking, the AX-4 crew participated in a farewell ceremony aboard the ISS. Shukla said, 41 years ago, an Indian astronaut described what India looked like from space. And now, people are eager to know what India looks like today.
आज का भारत स्पेस से महत्वाकांक्षी दिखता है. आज का भारत निडर दिखता है. आज का भारत कॉन्फिडेंट दिखता है, आज का भारत गर्व से पूर्ण दिखता है और इन्हीं सब कारणों की वजह से मैं एक बार फिर से कह सकता हूँ कि आज का भारत अभी भी सारे जहां से अच्छा दिखता है.
Shukla's participation is a key milestone for India's space ambitions, particularly the Gaganyaan program. On the 28th of June, Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with Group Captain Shukla via video conferencing and said that his mission and experience would significantly contribute to India's space journey.
आप तो मुझे भली भांति जानते हैं, जब भी किसी से बात होती है तो मैं होमवर्क जरूर देता हूं. हमें मिशन गगनयान को आगे बढ़ाना है. हमें अपना खुद का स्पेस स्टेशन बनाना है और चंद्रमा पर भारतीय एस्ट्रोनॉट की लैंडिंग भी करानी है. इन सारे मिशंस में आपके अनुभव बहुत काम आने वाले हैं.
After landing, Group Captain Shukla and the crew will undergo a 7-day rehabilitation program under the supervision of flight surgeons to readjust to Earth's gravity and conditions. Rabindra Chauhan's report, DD India.
And DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj joins us for more on this. Well, Siddharth, a very, very proud moment for India. Indeed, SpaceX's Dragon capsule carrying the XM-4 crew has undocked yesterday from the International Space Station. Subhanshu Shukla being the first Indian in 41 years to reach the ISS. How significant was this mission in terms of scientific experiments or milestones achieved aboard the ISS?
Well, first of all, a very good morning to you, Lipakshi. And one thing which we know now, that after a long 41 years, we know that how India looks from space again, and it looks Sare Jahan Se Acha. That's what Subhanshu Shukla said, in his farewell speech. We cannot forget that. Certainly, he said that today's India is fearless, today's India is confident, and today's India is full of pride, and it's Sare Jahan Se Acha. So that's what we know, and it speaks volumes about the fact that how India is shining on the world map when it comes to its space program, and how India's space program has come a long way, Lipakshi. And when you talk about the experiments, when you talk about the significance of this mission, then it's huge. From areas ranging to agriculture to space, the experiments conducted by Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla will certainly benefit all these sectors. He conducted certain experiments like space microalgae, studying about their potential of food production, studying about their potential of oxygen and biofuels, and apart from that, also centrifugation of cyanobacteria, among other experiments that he has conducted. So that holds a great significance in itself, and it also shows India on the global map, how the space program, how India's space journey has come a long way, and it's progressing, aligning with the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047. And, in few years, we'll see everything getting made under the sun. And as Prime Minister Narendra Modi was speaking to Subhanshu Shukla when he was aboard the ISS, we heard that Prime Minister said that he always gives homework. So, the focus is actually to take the Gaganyaan program forward. The focus is to actually set up India's own space station, and also, its vision of sending person to moon by 2040.
Right.
So these are some of the things that, the focus is on.
Right,
Apart from the fact, Lipakshi, when you talk about, the entire procedure, that the splashdown is expected to take place at 3:05 or 3:01. Time may vary, IST, but then once the splashdown takes place, what happens after that is very, very important, because when, the astronauts are in space, the bone density reduces, and also, the skin becomes baby-like. Apart from the other challenges that the astronauts face, there's a rescue ship which will be there with fast boats, medical team and technical team. That entire capsule will be lifted through hydraulic cradle, and then the astronauts are assisted. The onboard one medical checkup will take place. Apart from that, they'll be taken via helicopter to Houston. The other medical checks will also take place there, and there will be a rehabilitation program which will go on till 1 week, because, like I just mentioned, there are different challenges which astronauts face while they are in space. To recuperate and come back to shape again, the rehabilitation program is conducted, which is very, very important, and was also very beneficial for the mental well-being of the astronauts. Apart from that, when you talk about the experiments that are being conducted, the digestion in space was also checked. Apart from that, the muscle loss in space and the mental well-being of astronauts was also, was part of the experiment. So further, it will help the astronauts who will be further going to space. And it also gives you a very shining example of the fact that how India is progressing when it comes to its space program, and how it paves the way for other astronauts as well from India to go to the space, again speaks volumes about the fact that how the space program has come a long way. India's space program. So these are all the things.
You were talking about
the significance of this particular mission, Lipakshi. Yes.
Right, Siddharth, you were talking about the global positioning of India. So how is this shaping India's global positioning in space collaboration, especially with agencies like NASA and SpaceX?
This mission itself is a great example, Lipakshi. I mean, when you go by this mission, when the several agencies are involved, it gives you a very bright example that how the collaboration is taking place and how India's space program has come a long way. Like I was earlier mentioning as well. So yeah, when you talk about India's space program, India is shining on the world map when it comes to this, and also like I was just mentioning, it opens the way for other astronauts from India to go to the space and conduct another experiments, which will further help not just India but the entire world in different sectors, ranging from agriculture, ranging from space, ranging from technology, and it will certainly give a boost to science and technology altogether. So it certainly goes on to show that how the Indian astronauts, how people from India are shining bright on the world map, and in fact today the world is looking at India not just because of the space program but for other sectors, and courtesy to India's vision of Viksit Bharat 2047. Like I was just mentioning earlier as well, Lipakshi, that in few years from now, India will be able to make everything under the sun, and courtesy to all the sectors that are boosting with rapid pace, from agriculture to finance to health to defense, and collaboration, India's collaboration and strengthening bilateral ties between the countries and many regions in different continents and subcontinents. So yeah, altogether, Lipakshi, it's a great move, and as far as the collaborations are concerned, that this mission itself is an example of how India is progressing in science and technology and space program. Back to you.
Absolutely. India's future missions like Gaganyaan also will get a big boost there. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for all that information. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Zelensky thanks Trump for readiness to support Ukraine. Supreme Court allows Trump to resume dismantling of Education Department, overruling lower court block. And first look of new Harry Potter TV series revealed as production begins, and lead cast revealed.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday announced a toughened stance against Russia for its Ukraine conflict. He promised a fresh wave of missiles and other weaponry for Ukraine, and giving Moscow 50 days to reach a ceasefire or face sanctions. In the Oval Office, at an announcement with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Trump told reporters he'd become deeply frustrated with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Well, Trump's decision to send weapons to Ukraine marked a shift in his approach after earlier efforts to get Putin to agree to a ceasefire repeatedly failed. Under the deal, Trump said the U.S. will supply weapons that will be paid for by NATO countries. Trump's promise that NATO would pay for the weapons satisfies his demand that the U.S. will not continue bankrolling the war, and puts the financial burden on U.S. allies in Europe.
Billions of dollars worth of military equipment is going to be purchased from the United States, going to NATO, etc. And that's going to be quickly distributed to the battlefield. I mean, the 500 is you know, sort of meaningless after a while, because at a certain point it doesn't matter. It's not going to be, you know, 100 is going to serve the same function. But yeah, I have it at 100%. They may have it, I don't know what they're going to end up with. They may have it at 102. They may have it at 500.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has made regular appeals to the U.S. and its NATO allies for weapons to help defend itself against Russia. Rutte said Germany, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, the Netherlands and Canada all want to be part of rearming Ukraine. He said massive numbers of weapons would be sent, including missiles, as part of a first wave of equipment.
If I was Vladimir Putin today and hear you speaking about what you were planning to do in 50 days and this announcement, I would reconsider whether I should not take negotiations about Ukraine more seriously than I was doing at the moment, if I was Vladimir Putin. But when I'm Ukraine, I think this is really great news for that. So I really want to thank you for that. And it means the Europeans paying for it. And again, I mentioned all these countries, we will deal with that. And exactly as you said, it might also mean that countries will move equipment fast into Ukraine, and then the US later backfilling it because speed is of the essence here.
Well, Trump coupled his arms announcement with a vow to impose tariffs and sanctions on Russia if Moscow will not make a ceasefire agreement within 50 days. The president threatened to hit buyers of Russian exports with sanctions unless Russia agrees a peace deal in 50 days. It is a major shift in policy brought on by disappointment with Moscow. Trump has been reluctant to punish Russia, but he came away from a recent phone call with Putin disappointed that the Russian leader appeared prepared to continue the conflict.
I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. And that's the way it is. That can be more simple. It's just the way it is. I hope we don't have to do it.
Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky spoke to the U.S. president after his announcement of new weapons for Ukraine and thanked him for his support. Zelensky said he and Trump had agreed to speak more frequently and continue coordinating their steps.
З генералом Келлогом він почав візит в Україну доволі змістовно. Ми говорили продуктивно. Я вдячний президенту Трампу за готовність підтримувати захист життів наших людей.
Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has announced a political reshuffle as conflict with Russia raged on. He asked First Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Svyrydenko on Moscow to lead a new government. Svyrydenko, 39, is an economist and has served as First Deputy Prime Minister since 2021. She played a key role in recent negotiations for a minerals deal with the United States. Zelensky also proposed that Ukraine's current Prime Minister, Denys Shmyhal, take over as Defense Minister, describing him as holding the right qualifications for a very important job. Shmyhal has served as Prime Minister since March 2020, making him the longest-serving head of government since the country gained its independence from Moscow in 1991 amid the collapse of the Soviet Union. He would replace Rustem Umerov, who Zelensky suggested last week could be named Ukraine's ambassador to Washington. The nominations, which require parliamentary approval, came as diplomatic efforts to end the conflict, now in its fourth year, have stalled, and as Ukraine seeks to revive its cash-strapped economy and build up a domestic arms industry. Meanwhile, Iran said on Monday there would be no nuclear talks with the United States if they were conditioned on Tehran abandoning its uranium enrichment activities. Well, the remarks came after Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baqai said Iran had not set a date for any meeting with the United States. Washington and Tehran had been engaged in several rounds of negotiations seeking to strike a deal on the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. Arakchi and Witkoff had previously failed to conclude a deal after 5 rounds of talks that began in April, while the Omani-mediated negotiations were halted as Israel launched its surprise attack on Iranian nuclear and military facilities on June 13th, with the United States later joining its ally in carrying out limited strikes, though Tehran has said it will not renounce its right to the peaceful use of nuclear power. And German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius held talks with the U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth in Washington on Monday and discussed the country's security partnership, including adding to NATO's defense spending. Pistorius said Berlin and Washington will take a decision about sending 2 U.S.-made Patriot air defense systems to Kyiv within days or weeks. Talks would continue at the working level to finalize details, including the number of launchers and missiles that might be included in the agreement. Pistorius received a warm welcome in Washington, reflecting Germany's evolving role as a major contributor to NATO's largest military build-up since the Cold War, after being a laggard in defense spending for decades. Germany is increasing its defense spending to 162 billion euros by 2029 by easing its debt limit to meet NATO's 3.5% GDP target amid security concerns. And moving on to some update on Gaza humanitarian aid now. EU's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas will meet senior EU officials in Brussels today, ahead of which Kallas said there have been some signs of more trucks and supplies getting to Gaza, but the European Union doesn't see enough improvement on the ground. The EU reached an agreement with Israel last week to improve the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip, including increasing aid trucks and opening crossing points in certain aid routes. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar also stated that Israel welcomed the participation of Syria.
There is a war going there, and what's happening on the ground there, mainly with regard to the GHF initiative, is that Hamas is trying to stop people from get the aid directly, because they want to be the mediators of the humanitarian aid. That's how it became a financial resource for Hamas in Gaza Strip. They're threatening the people, they shoot at people, they kidnap some people, they killed Palestinians, they also attacked Americans there. But first of all, it is crucial that this aid will be given to the people. And secondly, it's also important to disconnect Hamas from the aid. And this is part of the things that were raised in our dialogue with the EU.
Well, the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday cleared the way for President Donald Trump's administration to resume dismantling the Department of Education. In the latest High Court win for Trump, the justices lifted a federal judge's order that had reinstated nearly 1,400 workers affected by mass layoffs at the department and blocked the administration from transferring key functions to other federal agencies. The Supreme Court lifted the judge's order without explanation just days after another ruling that cleared the way for Trump to carry out mass firings of federal workers in other government departments. A group of 21 Democratic attorneys general, school districts and unions behind a pair of legal challenges had warned in court papers that Trump's shutdown efforts threaten to impair the department's ability to perform its core duties. Created by Congress in 1979, the Department of Education's main roles include administering college loans, tracking student achievement, and enforcing civil rights in schools. It also provides federal funding for needy districts and to help students with disabilities. Well, Trump thanked the Supreme Court for allowing the administration to implement widespread education department layoffs, terming it a major victory to parents and students across the country. Trump stated in social media post, and I quote, "The federal government has been running our education system into the ground, but we are going to turn it all around by giving the power back to the people." And Britain will welcome Donald Trump for an unprecedented second state visit in September. Trump was invited by a personal letter from King Charles, which Prime Minister Keir Starmer handed to him in February during a visit to Washington. The U.S. President, accompanied by the First Lady Melania Trump, has accepted the invitation for the state visit to the United Kingdom from 17 September to 19th of September. Britain rolled out the red carpet for Trump in 2019 when he met the late Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles' mother. No foreign leader has ever had a second state visit. Also, the visit will come only 2 months after King Charles and his wife Queen Camilla welcomed French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte to Windsor. And production began on the new TV adaptation of Harry Potter as the first picture of the lead actor in costume was released. J.K. Rowling's series of novels has already been made into a film, but HBO is now producing a TV series which is expected to take 10 years to complete. Producers released the first picture of 11-year-old Dominic McLaughlin in costume as Harry Potter and confirmed several new cast members. Rory Wilmot has been cast as Neville Longbottom, Amos Kitson as Dudley Dursley, Louis Brealey as Madame Rolando Hooch, and Anton Lesser as Garrick Ollivander. And time now for a short break. We'll be back in a while.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar calls on Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing ahead of Foreign Ministers' meet of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, apprises him of the recent development of bilateral ties. India strongly condemns attacks on Rath Yatra procession in Toronto, calling the act despicable against spirit of festivity, urges Canadian authorities to take action against those responsible. U.S. President Donald Trump tells Russia to end Ukraine conflict within 50 days or face massive new economic sanctions as he lays out plans for new infusions of weaponry for Kyiv via NATO. First Indian astronaut to visit International Space Station, Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 astronauts on their way to Earth splashdown near California at around 3 p.m. IST. And moving on, India's Ministry of External Affairs has taken up the matter of ex-throne on Rath Yatra in Toronto with the Canadian government, stressing that despicable acts are regrettable. MEA's official spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal said, and I quote, "We have seen reports regarding disruption created by mischievous elements during the Rath Yatra procession in Toronto. Such despicable acts are regrettable and are against the spirit of the festival, which seeks to promote unity, inclusivity and social harmony. We have strongly taken up the matter with Canadian authorities to hold the perpetrators of the act accountable. We hope the Canadian government will take necessary action to protect the religious rights of the people." Unquote. However, the Rath Yatra continued despite the disruption, with participants maintaining their devotion and spirit. The annual Chariot Festival rolled through Toronto this weekend, drawing thousands in dance, devotion and colour. DD India's Taran Paul Singh witnessed the spiritual spectacle.
Right now, we are at City of Toronto, where Lord Jagannath is ready, and whole community is here talking about the Yatra, celebrating the Yatra. Let's go inside and talk with them.
Jagannath Swami Nayan Pathgami Nayan Pathgami Bhavatu Me.
Some festivals entertain, this one elevates. Toronto's downtown turned into moving temple this weekend as the sacred wheels of Rath Yatra, the Chariot Festival, carved a path of devotion, joy, and harmony down Young Street.
This Rath Yatra, it's a parade. It's a chariot parade that we do every year in the month of July, where Lord Jagannath, Lord Baldev, and Srimati Subhadra Maharani comes on a Young Street. It's an Asian tradition of serving Lord Jagannath, where Lord Jagannath comes and gives his mercy on the streets. Not over in India, Srila Prabhupada came into the West and bring this festival to all over the world.
It's like home away from home, because when you come here, you see lots and lots of people. They are very excited. You see and hear Lord Jagannath cheerfully seeing everyone and enjoying and being with us. That's the biggest thing about it.
Towering 40-foot chariots, ornately decorated, carry the deities Jagannath, Balabhadra, and Subhadra through the city, pulled not by horses but by hundreds of fans, young and old, singing, chanting, dancing. No barriers, no bordering, just bhakti, pure devotion.
This is my first time here at the Toronto Rath Yatra. These festivals are really about everybody coming together and celebrating the holy names, and also bringing Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, their lordships out for everybody to see. So it's a very joyful festival.
With roots in Puri, India, Rath Yatra dates back over 2 millennia. But in Toronto, it was found a second home, introduced here by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in the 1970s. The festival has grown into one of the North America's most majestic spiritual celebration. After the procession, the celebration continued on Center Island, a space transformed into a spiritual carnival. Children ran barefoot through grass, elders meditated in shade, artists painted with purpose. There was music, classical dance, yoga, interactive exhibits, and above all, connections. As the sun sets on Center Island and the last plate was served, the real takeaway lingered in the air. Unity, service, and spirit can move more than the chariots. They can move hearts, because in the city of many, we are reminded once again, fate doesn't divide us, it drives us forward together. From Canada, this is Tarun Paul Singh.
Well, the International Solar Alliance will convene its 7th Regional Committee meeting for the Asia and Pacific region in Colombo from today. The 3-day meeting focuses on developing investment-ready solar solutions, promoting cross-border solar interconnections, and scaling up emerging technologies such as green hydrogen, energy storage, and e-mobility. A key highlight will be the signing of countries' partnership frameworks and collaborative agreements with international partners. Participants will also explore operationalizing the small island developing states solar platform, expanding star centers to build institutional capacity, and leveraging digital learning platforms to bridge regional skill gaps. And India's runner Fauja Singh, who earned the tag of world's oldest marathon runner, died at the age of 114 in a road accident on Monday. According to police, a car hit him on Monday afternoon, due to which he suffered a serious head injury. Fauja was immediately rushed to the hospital. However, he succumbed to the injuries later. Age was never a barrier for Fauja Singh. The death of his son and wife forced him to search for a worthwhile alternative in life. At 89 years of age, he took to running seriously. Fauja Singh ran his first race, the London Marathon, in 2000. He was well known in his village for running from one place to another. Fauja Singh competed in 9 42-kilometer marathons in London, Toronto, and New York. His best time was in Toronto, where he clocked 5 hours, 40 minutes and 4 seconds. He was a torchbearer for the 2004 Athens Games and 2012 London Olympics, and appeared in an advertisement for a major sports brand several years ago alongside the likes of David Beckham and Muhammad Ali. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday paid tribute to legendary marathoner Fauja Singh, who died at the age of 114 in a road accident in Punjab's Jalandhar district. In a post on X, Prime Minister Modi described Singh as an inspiration to generations and wrote, and I quote, Fauja Singh Ji was extraordinary because of his unique person and the manner in which he inspired the youth of India on a very important topic of fitness. He was an exceptional athlete with incredible determination. Pained by his passing away, my thoughts are with his family and countless admirers around the world. And World Youth Skills Day, observed annually on July 15, celebrates the strategic importance of equipping young people with skills for employment and entrepreneurship. The theme for 2025, Youth Empowerment Through AI and Digital Skills, highlights how artificial intelligence is transforming the way we learn, work and grow. As a report by DD India's correspondent Priti Vadhera.
Across India, young entrepreneurs are harnessing the power of digital technologies to drive real change on the ground. One such innovation is the AI Anganwadi project called Prarambh, which is a breakthrough in early childhood education, integrating smart learning tools and AI-based monitoring. This initiative transforms traditional Anganwadis into digital-enabled spaces where children can learn through smart boards and engaging activity-based learning.
So while considering the Anganwadis, the importance of Anganwadis, that around 5-year kids of India are starting their learning journey from this particular Anganwadis. So considering that and considering the gaps that are there in the Anganwadi, what we have decided to digitalize that thing. So that even if Anganwadi worker is not present, even the Sahayika can come and at least facilitate the class for that particular day. Anganwadi workers just have to come and switch on the board, and everything is pre-decided in the board. Like on that particular day, what they have to teach. Like first there is a poem, then there is card-based activity where they have to Anganwadi worker will interact with kids, also presenting the visuals.
It aims to make foundational education more interactive and curiosity-driven, laying a solid groundwork for lifelong learning.
In India, more than 5 crore kids studying in 1.3 million Anganwadis, and the condition of these Anganwadis is not much satisfying. So we have observed this thing, how we can improve the learning level in these Anganwadis, how we can facilitate the Anganwadis worker, how they can more empowered, how they can teach kids through digital learning. And as we know, national education policy is also focusing on the visual learning part. But these Anganwadis does not have any kind of digital infrastructure. So this is the major cause we want to solve. For this, we have designed this Prarambh, which is based on AI concept.
From children to teachers and administrators, AI Anganwadi is nurturing a new era of learning, and behind it all, a wave of young innovators is redefining what inclusive, tech-enabled education looks like in India. On National Youth Skill Day, the message is very clear. When empowered the right way, with right vision and right skill, the youth of the nation can truly redefine the future of learning. With camera person Ajit, I'm Kriti Vadhera reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
And some global weather updates now. First from India. India continues to witness an active monsoon phase, with the Indian Meteorological Department forecasting to receive light to heavy rainfall in the upcoming days. In Delhi NCR, the IMD has predicted generally cloudy skies and light to moderate rain accompanied by thunderstorms and lightning over the next 4 days. On Tuesday, very light to light rain is forecast, with similar wind patterns and temperatures ranging between 32 to 34 degrees centigrade and 24 to 26 degrees centigrade, both slightly below normal. The weather will remain partly cloudy on July 16th and 17th, with occasional light rain and thunderstorms. And the Weather Department has issued orange warning for 3 districts of Himachal Pradesh and warned of heavy to very heavy rains in Shimla, Solan and Sirmaur for Tuesday. In the next 24 hours, the most parts of Himachal Pradesh are likely to receive light to moderate rainfall, with isolated places experiencing heavy to very heavy showers. People are advised to stay alert, especially in hairy areas prone to landslides and road blockages. Keep rain gear handy and follow local weather advisories. IMD senior scientist Sandeep Kumar Sharma said an orange alert for heavy to very heavy rain has been issued in Kangra, Mandi and Sirmaur. And for more, we have DD India's Rachna Verma joining us from Shimla. Well, Rachna, how is the situation there in Himachal right now?
Hi, good morning. So right now I'm in Shimla and the weather is cloudy and there is a drop in the temperature. The atmosphere is a bit humid, but there is definitely a drop in the temperature. IMD has predicted for the next 24 hours light to moderate rain in most part of the Himachal. So yeah, though the weather is cloudy and clean right now, overcast, and we can expect rainfall by the evening.
All right, we can see overcast skies are there. Also, has any advisory been issued by the government, Rachna?
Yes, the local administration has been issuing advisory time to time, as well as the disaster management teams as well. They are giving the SMS alerts as well and urging people to avoid unnecessary travels to the mountains.
All right, so how are the people or the tourists there right now bracing up for the heavy downpour, which the weather department has already predicted?
So residents are stocking up with the essentials. Apart from that, the local administration has been put on alert, and the emergency services have been put on alert. Most part of the Himachal schools has been closed down.
Okay.
So yeah, people are being, tourists specifically have been advised to follow the local advisory. The hotels and the local transportation has been issuing these, like putting the speakers on that and issuing the time-to-time guidelines as well. And the SMS is one of the key major thing which they have issued. They are putting that the SMS guidelines to every resident as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Rachna, for all those details. Also in northwest India, heavy rainfall in Punjab has caused widespread waterlogging, impacting normal life and leading to traffic disruptions in major cities like Chandigarh, Mohali, Ludhiana, Patiala, Amritsar, Hoshiarpur and Rupnagar. Also, the Indian Meteorological Department has issued an orange alert for heavy rainfall in Uttarakhand. Incessant rain in Uttarakhand has also thrown life out of gear, causing landslides and damaging houses in the Devprayag in Pauri district. Due to landslides in the mountainous areas of the state, the motorable routes got totally blocked. Meanwhile, IMD has issued red alert for the states of Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh today. Entire Rajasthan is under alert for extremely heavy rain. Heavy rain from last 24 hours have created flood-like situation in Jodhpur, Kota and Chittorgarh. Jaipur is witnessing continuous rain for the last 12 hours. A yellow alert has been issued for today. Many district collectors have declared holiday for the schools due to inclement weather. Chhattisgarh has also been places under red alert for extremely heavy rainfall. And from India to the U.S. weather, death toll from devastating floods across Texas has climbed to 131. The National Weather Service has issued a flood watch through Tuesday morning for a large area of central Texas, stretching from the Rio Grande to San Antonio and Austin, warning a potential heavy rainfall of up to 6 inches. Riverfront residents as well as search teams still combing the banks of the waterway were advised to seek higher ground until the latest danger had passed. And still to come in DT India News Hour. U.S. House set to vote on landmark crypto bills this week as Trump champions industry shift. Ravindra Jadeja's vigil ends in heartbreak as England beat India at Lord's to take 2-1 lead in series. And drones and fireworks dazzle over Eiffel Tower for Bastille Day. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Now. Lipakshi Kuranan on to some business news now. In a significant move to bolster national defense through artificial intelligence, the Pentagon announced contracts with multiple leading U.S. artificial intelligence firms on Monday, including Elon Musk's XAI, which has faced intense scrutiny in recent days over anti-Semitic posts by its Grok chatbot. The Pentagon's Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Office said each of the contracts to XAI, Anthropic, Google and OpenAI have a ceiling value of $200 million. It also added that the contracts aim to harness cutting-edge AI capabilities to develop advanced autonomous systems referred to as agentic AI workflows for a range of military missions. The contract with XAI comes just days after the company was forced to apologize again for controversial posts by its Grok chatbot. XAI apologized for the extremist and offensive messages and said it had corrected the instructions that led to the incidents. And U.S. tech giant NVIDIA to resume sales of its H20 artificial intelligence chips to China after exports were halted due to U.S. licensing curbs. According to a company blog post, NVIDIA is filling applications to resume H20 sales. The U.S. government has assured NVIDIA that licenses will be granted and NVIDIA hopes to start delivery soon. The move follows a high-level diplomatic effort by NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, who met with U.S. President Trump in Washington and later held talks with officials in Beijing. The meetings were part of NVIDIA's broader push to promote global AI cooperation. And the U.S. lawmakers are on the verge of passing landmark legislation that will give the crypto world much-wanted legitimacy, riding on President Donald Trump's recent embrace of the industry. Well, the U.S. House of Representatives is set to vote on 3 pieces of legislation this week, including one on the use of stablecoins, cryptocurrencies pegged to safe assets like the dollar. The raft of legislation comes after years of suspicion against the crypto industry amid the belief in the Biden administration that the sector, born out of the success of Bitcoin, should be kept on a tight leash and away from mainstream investors. But after crypto investors poured millions of dollars into his presidential campaign last year, Trump reversed his own doubts about the industry, even launching a Trump meme coin and other ventures as he prepares for his return to the White House. And in the first 11 months of the current fiscal year 2024-25, Nepal's total deficit has reached 1,397.23 billion rupees with a 6.3% rise. According to Nepal Rashtra Bank report on macroeconomic and financial situation during the review period, merchandise imports increased by 13.1%. The report highlighted that while inflation has decreased, the balance of payments remains in deficit. Imports from India increased by 7.6%, from China 15.3%, and from other countries it has risen by 29.5%. Imports of crude soybean oil, rice paddy, transport equipment, vehicle and spare parts, edible oil and sponge iron, among others, increased in the review period. While exports of soybean oil, polyester yarn and thread, jute goods, tea and resin, among others, increased in the review period. Well, Tesla officially enters the Indian market today with the launch of its first showroom at Maker Maxcity Mall in Mumbai's Bandra Kurla complex. The EV pioneer teased its arrival last Friday in its India-focused X account. Tesla will sell imported vehicles, including the Model Y, priced at approximately $69,770. That excludes local manufacturing for now. Encouraged by India's new EV policy, offering reduced import duties and incentives, Tesla aims to test the waters in the world's third-largest car market. Union Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy confirmed Tesla's current focus is on retail only. With minimal EV penetration and charging concerns still prevalent, Tesla is set to challenge German luxury brands like BMW and Mercedes-Benz in the premium electric segment. And China's economy grew by 5.2% in the second quarter of the year. Official data matches the forecast as strong exports helped it withstand trade war pressures. Policymakers are thus expected to refrain from rolling out additional stimulus measures at an upcoming meeting of the Communist Party's Politburo in late July. They are expected to take some decision in September. President Xi Jinping, who needs robust exports and manufacturing to offset a property showdown that has weakened domestic demand, faces a crucial moment in the coming weeks as Beijing hammers out a final trade deal with the U.S. Well, you're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. In a nail-biting finish, England beat India by 22 runs on the 5th day of the third test match at Lord's on Monday. The hosts have now taken a lead of 2-1 in the series. It was a final day of simmering tension and high drama at Lord's. England claimed 4 wickets in the opening session, but Ravindra Jadeja and lower-order batsmen kept them at bay with their dogged resistance. Shoaib Bashir bowled Mohammad Siraj for 4 to seal victory. The host had looked on course for a far more comfortable victory when they reduced India to 112 for 8 at lunch. But Jadeja and Jasprit Bumrah battled for nearly 2 hours to inch their team towards a target of 193. Jasprit Bumrah played 108 minutes to support Jadeja, while Siraj survived 30 deliveries for his 4 runs, but England had the last laugh. For the host, Archer and Stokes took 3 wickets apiece, while Bride and Cast took 2. Captain Ben Stokes was adjudged a player of the match. Both the teams will now meet at Old Trafford in Manchester for the 4th test on the 23rd of July. Well, a grand fireworks and drones display lit up the night sky around the Eiffel Tower in Paris in celebration of Bastille Day. Crowds gather to watch as drones encircle the landmarks, spelling out liberty, equality, fraternity and Paris Agreement in French, in a tribute to France's national motto and the 10th anniversary of the Paris Agreement. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.